All right, a bunch of you guys have been asking for this for a while, probably also because I've been promising it for about 2 years now. I'm finally going to start doing the 50 and 100 yard tests, ballistic gel tests with rimfire cartridges. I had intended to start with 22 long rifle, but I went through my stock and realized I was out of everything I wanted to gel test, so I'm going to have to place an order for some 22 long rifle ammo. We'll be testing stuff like mini mags and the super extra here, velocitors, interceptors, stingers, super maximums and stuff like that, so stay tuned for that. Also, eventually, I'm doing 50 and 100 yards now for a while, probably clear into springtime because I got a lot of rounds to cover, but eventually, at least with the Magnum calibers, the 22 mag and the 17 HMR, I'll eventually be getting out 150 and 200 yards too. See how they do out there, because at some point past 100 yards, a lot of those are going to stop expanding. That's what I want to find out, which ones are still working good at that distance and which ones aren't. Might sneak in some 22 long rifle at those ranges, not sure, but doing 22 Magnum today. And I'm going to compare these two Winchesters side by side. So we got the Dyna point here, 45 grain, 1550 feet per second. I'll show you the bullet in a second. And the Winchester Super X, 40 grain, 1910 feet per second advertised, using a Rossi RS22M 22 Magnum. It's a 21-inch barrel, semi-automatic. I'll put a link in the description to the original review video of this rifle if you want to check it out. And here's everything else I'm going to be testing coming up, including some of the pistol rounds, but they actually shoot really well out of the rifle. I have videos on that too, which if you want to see anything rimfire, just go check out the 22/rimfire playlist on the channel. Got all the rimfire videos in there for everything you've missed. So I'm going to have these comparisons coming up. We got like the ballistic tips. We're going to try Federal 50 grain, Spear TNT, Maxi Mag, Game Point, A22 Game Point, which is faster and lighter. So have all these to look forward to. Stuff in 17 HMR as well, comparisons in the same way, and a bunch of 22 long rifle. There's each bullet there. Super X in the front, obviously, so you got that lead soft tip hollow point there, and a Dyna point back there. It's just got a copper wash on it like 22 long rifle bullets do. And I want to give a shout out and thanks to my buddy John at Boomstick Revenge for letting me use the range today. So I'll be using Nox 10% ballistics gelatin. I'll make this myself. Clearest Nox you're going to see on the internet, but it's not because it's thin. I don't know, I do something right. Everybody's been asking me to make videos on it, which I'll eventually do, how I make this. It's always BB calibrated. I'm coming in at 3.1 inches today, so we are within calibration for 10% ballistics gelatin. You see I got ice packs in there. Always temperature controlled as it's supposed to be. You don't get that on a lot of channels. They don't show you the calibration, if they even do use Nox, let alone transport it in a cooler like it's supposed to. Optimal temperature for that stuff to keep it within calibration, 38 degrees. It's a nice cool fall day out today. I'm not even sure if it hit 50 yet. It's probably getting pretty close, or it might be there. So when it's cooler weather like this, I'll transport it with the ice packs. If it gets much hotter, I throw ice in there to maintain the temperature. So get everything set up out there. I have a GoPro downrange too, get you guys some up close shots of it. Going to start out at 50 yards, get hits 50 yards with both. Then we'll spin the blocks around, get it out to 100 yards, and then try it at 100. All right, set up at 50 yards there. And you see the GoPro on the cooler. I'll shoot the Dyna point first on the right, and then I'll shoot the Super X on the left. Not the greatest shot. It's centered and higher than I wanted it. So, tell you what I'm actually going to do now is put the Super X on the right. Try to come a little lower. Not liking either of those shots. Let's go check it out. So I knew this was going to be a challenge. It's going to be real freaking fun at 100 yards. Trying to get accurate enough shots to stay in that block. what I really wanted to do was use pistols, because basically 3 to 4 inch pistol shooting the same round that the rifle does, you're getting about the same velocity out of a pistol for not only 22 mag but also 22 long rifle as what the rifle does at 100 yards. But I know people whine about that, so I'm trying to make it happen. So as I said, Dyna point came high in center. We got a capture, that's good. Super X came lower than I wanted, and we got a capture there too. I don't like how low that is though, so I'm going to take another Super X on the left here. That may be affecting that cavity there. What's interesting, the Dyna point, massive wound cavity there, first 3 inches or so. Take them out and examine them, get weights and measurements and all that when we're done here. And you can see the wound cavity from that Super X is much smaller, but it did fully expand. So I don't know if it being so low there affected that or not, so I'm going to take another one over here. So since we're taking a second with the Super X, I'll take a second with the Dyna point as well. I'm going to do the Super X first to make sure I get a good placement on that where I want it. Okay, yeah, the accuracy with these, even at 50 yards out there, at best I'm getting an inch group when I practiced on the target, so it's going to be at least 2 inch groups at 100. That, I don't know, I don't know if we can keep them on the block at 100. I'm probably going to take a few shots. But here's another Dyna point. Well, I hit the first hole from the Super X with that one. So here's another Dyna point. I cannot win today already. 100 yards is going to be fun. So yeah, this is one you're going to have to pay attention to because, well, obviously we can't compare the previous 2 shots because now the holes from them are all messed up. See how bad I screwed this up. So yeah, so there's my clean Winchester Super X. Okay, so like I said, I pretty much came in here with that second Dyna point, screwed that up. So you can actually still see them. Dyna point, Super X, okay? So, the Dyna point seems like it narrows it out a little bit from here, whereas the Super X is still looking pretty large. Like I said, that down here did not look right for the Super X. It was too skinny, especially compared to the Dyna point, and that's because it came so low. It was practically scraping the table, almost. So there's our good Dyna point and good Super X, okay? There's a capture on the Super X. Like I said, I took a second with the Dyna point when we came here, but I didn't count that because it was right next. And then so the third makeup shot there up out the top. But anyways, we got 2 good captures there just like I wanted. So there's your comparison there. All right, and I'm going to pull these out because I learned my lesson the hard way before. Leaving them in, spinning around, shooting again. I've hit the same bullets before. So our first Super X is right here, the one that was too low. Okay, if I can get this freaking gel off of it. There's that. Decent expansion. This is the second Super X we just took here. Oh, that's cool. It's just barely poking out the back. Expansion looks the same. Okay. But you could see that wound cavity was much larger than when it was down low. So that being, I don't know, 1/4 inch off the table, that definitely affected that. So that's why I took that second one. And then the one Dyna point that we caught. That's a pretty big mushroom. That could explain why the Dyna point did so well at such a low velocity there. That is surprising. Very big mushroom with the Dyna point. Mushroom with the Super X at 50 yards. So I'm gonna get these back in the cooler before the sun heats them up too much. Get them set up out there at 100 yards. I'm stupid. I flipped this over. This is the other Dyna point we caught here that went low and hit the same freaking hole almost as the first Super X. So we got 2 from that as well. Oh, which by the way, forgetting my tape measure and depths here, what was that, 12 there? I mean, they all came about 12, 13 inches. So these are 12-inch blocks. So that would have been about 11. Wherever I pulled out the other Dyna point, you know, they were all, every single one of these right there. So apologize for that, but these are 12-inch blocks. So the one Super X was just pointing out the back, so it came 12. I think the other one that went low came in here to about 13 inches, but could have been because it was low. I don't know. But anyways, 12-inch blocks there, guys. So that's your penetration on those. But after we do 100, and I'll separate them 50 and 100, we'll get measurements and retained weight and whatnot. All right, got everything set up down there. Hopefully I can get some hits for you guys. So, I mean, ideally I'd put one on one side and one on the other, but with the accuracy we're getting down there, I don't know, we're just gonna be we're gonna be lucky to hit it at this point. So depending on where I hit, I might run 1, 2, 3 of sorry about that wiggle there, of one type. That way we know where those are at, and then, you know, a couple of the others. So since they seem to be the most accurate down there, I will start off with the Super X. And I think these are just, I don't think they're going to expand, or not very much at 100, not after seeing what they did at 50. So all right, I don't know how well you can see it from this camera, but that was actually a perfect shot, dead center, slightly off to the left side, just where I tried to put it. So now we will try the Dyna points. I can't tell where that one went. I heard it hit the block though. I'm a little bit fearful that it hit the same spot as the Winchester. I'm gonna take one more, or the Super X, excuse me, they're both Winchester. Try another one here. All right, that one's on the right, just where I wanted it, so that's definitely a good shot. So hopefully my first Dyna point did not just screw up the Super X shot, but we'll go see. By the way, guys, that is a laser rangefinder confirmed, 102 yards. Link in the description to the rangefinder I use. It's like 50 or 60 bucks. It's awesome if you want to get yourself a good budget rangefinder. And okay, good. I was so afraid I hit that hole with the Dyna point because I couldn't see that. So this is perfect, actually. Okay, so Super X right here. There's your wound channel from that, and you can see your wound channel up here from the Dyna point. Still got a big cavity there. Dyna point stopped. Again, these are 12 inches, guys. So about 11.5 inches there, or excuse me, 10.5 I meant to say. And then there's your Super X, not expanded just like I predicted. And so 12 and 12 is 24, so you're sitting there about 23 inches of penetration due to non-expansion. I'm sure it blunted the nose of it some. That is a pretty decent disruption there, but didn't expand. So there's our results. that worked out pretty good. I don't know. Oh, there's that one. Looks like it hit the table though. Yeah, it came in here. It stayed in the block the whole time, but then bounced off the table, which is why it went a little further. All right, let's get these out of here. So again, I'll get measurements and weights on these. So Dyna point, 100 yards. But there's my little 4-shot group, not too bad. And then I had a 4-shot up here like this, and then I took a couple more, but they were rushed, and I ended up with that. But the Super X are a little more accurate out here at 100 yards for me. I'm not worried about that one that bounced off the table there. Let me see here. Man, we almost didn't catch this one. Okay. Yep. Blunted nose. So there's your Super X. Wow, it looks kind of cool though. Looks like a little miniature pop can. And there's the top there. All right, let's get our weights and measurements here. See, first up, we'll do the Super X. Alrighty. There's our two from 50 and the one from 100 yards there. If you guys want to get yourself a little scale like this, micrometer, caliper, and the rangefinder I mentioned earlier, links in the description for that, as well as links in the description for all the products you see me use in my videos. So let's get a weight here. Oh, dropped it. Ah, come on. I was afraid it was going to roll down the crack there. Here, let's be smart and do it that way. 36, well, it just switched on me there. 35.7 retained weight on that. And these are 40 grain hollow points. And then on this one, 35.6. And then for the 100-yard guy, 36.8. So I guess it's just kind of shedding some of the lead off the tip there. Even that one that blunted, it must lose some of that lead. Alrighty, I don't remember which was which from 50 yards. Obviously, that's got that elongated thing right there. That's gonna increase the measurement on that. Maybe if you go back in the footage, you might be able to see it if I held it right, which was which. I want to say this was the one that went low, and then that was the one that went high, but I might be backwards there. I'm pretty sure you could see it in the footage which was which. It's got a nice uniform little fold over there, whereas this one not so much. It'd be pretty easy to tell the difference in the video. But anyways, obviously we're not going to have expansion on that guy at 100 yards. It's still 22 caliber. So we'll do the skinniest first one here. That's not going to work. Got to hold it up a little bit. Alright, where are we at here? Ah! Try to straighten it out for you. Looks like 29 caliber on the dot. And then we'll get this one from that elongated piece. Let's do from the side first. 32.3220, and then with that hanging out there, 35.15. All right, so let's check out the Dyna points now. These are the ones from 50. If I don't lose them through the cracks on the table, and these are the ones from 100. They still look pretty much the same, even the one that bounced off the table. So this is the one that did not bounce, right there. And this one, you can see where it hit right there. That's the one that bounced off the table, so it got like an extra inch of penetration. But the expansion stayed about the same. So, retained weight, 50 yards, 43.9 out of a 45 grain bullet. Second one, 45.3. So that 100% weight retention, and it's probably got a little gel up in there. Added a little bit extra weight. 100 yards that did not hit the table. 45 on the dot. 44.9. So, I mean, they pretty much look identical. I don't think there's one that's really better than the other. So, I'm slipping. 37 cal from 22. That's really good expansion. Like I said, as soon as I pulled that sucker out, I was like, wow, that's really good mushroom. And pretty good at 100 yards as well. It's going to be a little smaller, I think. 0.3575. Little up close for you on the left, corresponding with the boxes. Dyna point, 50 yards on the left, 100 yards on the right. Same for the Super X over here, 50 yards on the left, 100 yards on the right. So you guys can draw your own conclusion. Obviously, on paper, mathematically, the winner is the Dyna point. Because we got the best results in the block as far as like most damage, largest permanent cavity. No doubt due to the fact that it expanded so much more largely than the Super X. The Super X was a little more accurate for me at 100 yards. But with that excellent expansion there of the Dyna point, you're real limited on penetration there. So it depends on what you're wanting to do with it. If you're wanting to shoot groundhogs, gophers, whatever, right there, I mean, they'll both get the job done. But your expansion, not so great on these. And also, this thing's not really doing anything at 100 yards, whereas the Dyna point still is. But I limited it to about 10.5 inches of penetration at 100 yards. So if you're shooting something like hogs or whatever, you're probably going to want the extra penetration of those. So it really just comes down to personal preference and what your application is. So like I said, guys, I have a bunch more coming up. Stay tuned for that. I'll have 17 HMR comparisons coming up as well, 50 and 100 yards. One day we might get these Magnums out to 150 and 200. We'll see. Stay tuned. And I'll also be doing some 22 long rifle comparisons just like this as well at 50 and 100 yards. Don't forget, link in the description, the review video on this rifle if you want to check it out. Also, don't forget about the 22/rimfire playlist on the channel. Everything rimfire and more is in there if you want to check that out. Thanks again to John for letting me use the range. Appreciate you guys stopping by and watching, and I hope to catch you on the next one.